McElroy.
Who's done a terrific job.
Why, thank you. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon. Streaming live on the internet.
And I think you said you're going to test that too.
We did test it. Yeah, it works sometimes. Starting soon. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon. Doing online shows.
For much longer than I would have liked.
Suit yourself. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon. From their tidied up offices.
And then I see the disinfectant.
You do not want to know what happened in there before. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon. Answering the questions from
you, the people of this country.
If you email them in comics@somenews.co.uk or tweet at Mr. Stephen Allen or at Eric McElroy. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon. Starting soon.
In a minute. 1 minute.
Well, maybe a bit longer than a minute, but soon. Soon. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon. The web show we started because we were out of work.
And it is still true.
All right, don't rub it in. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon. Using their expertise to solve problems.
You're going to have to use medical doctors with.
Nope, just two comedians talking rubbish out of their face holes. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon. Lockdown 2020, giving Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy bigger compassion, time to write.
And guts.
Hell yeah.
You've shown and are continuing to show.
Only when we stand up on webcam. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon.
Sounds interesting.
Thank you. Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems with Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy. Starting soon. With Stephen Allen and Eric McElroy, who now do not have a
job.
Yep.
Hello, and welcome to Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Eric McElroy. Hello.
Yeah. So this is our little twice-weekly comedy show where we look at the news, we solve the problems in the world, and we'll solve your problems too. All you need to do is get in touch through wherever you're watching this. You could send us a message via Twitter, or you could drop a comment pretty much wherever you're watching it. It appears in front of us, and you can join in with this. And if at any stage during what happens over the next half hour you enjoy it enough where you think, I'd buy those guys a drink, the link is down the bottom, trying to fund our crazy habit of wanting to afford food. Lovely. So is everything going all right with you, Eric? Everything
Good. I'm feeling all right. I'd have to say, I'm not gigging this weekend, but I am looking forward to the weekend.
4th of July. Oh my
That's
days.
right.
Everyone's calling it, here we go, Super Saturday, but we're being told that you've got to drink responsibly. Don't have too much fun. And I would say, maybe stop calling it Super Saturday, because it seems to be mixed messaging, kind of, don't have too much fun on Super Saturday, wee, oi, oi, savaloy. If you called it like shit tomorrow, then I think maybe we could rein it in a bit more. Just to go back to the main headline there, they were saying that we should drink responsibly as the pubs reopen.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult message, isn't it? Because drinking is not really that much of a responsible thing. Like, the more you do it, you don't get more responsible. I've never had a big session on the sauce, woke up the next morning and realised the night before I joined the neighbourhood watch. It doesn't bring out the responsible in you. So in many ways, this could be the worst of everything. As long as we approach it with the right attitude, I think that'll be all right. You know what I mean? You don't have an attitude that brings out the worst in people. There was a tweet from the government, from HM Treasury. Grab a drink and raise a glass. Pubs are reopening their doors from 4 July. Hashtag open for business. Hashtag who cares about the 60,000 dead. Hashtag oi oi savaloy.
Do you think that was a little tone deaf?
I think that was a little bit tone deaf.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Just a little bit?
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, look, we need to enjoy things, but let's not make things worse. We don't want a second spike because people got a little bit thirsty.
Yeah.
Also, that we couldn't show it you because it was an animated GIF, but below that tweet was I found something that no one else has been offended by, but it was like an image of glasses clinking. You know, cheers.
Yeah. That's nice, isn't it? I mean, a little bit of cheers.
No, that needs to stop, Eric, because this is the time in history where we got rid of the handshake. Because it was a hangover of olden days to show people that you didn't have anything in your sword hand. And it meant that you were touching. We need to get. I will just take as given that people coming up to me probably aren't carrying a sword. So we can get rid of the handshakes.
Well, things keep going the way they've been going.
You never know. The clinking, the cheers, is from the olden days where you used to try and you'd spill a bit of your drink into the person you're drinking with drink and they spill some of theirs into yours to prove that you haven't poisoned it. Again, let's just back off and stop being so close to each other and just take as a given that you're probably not trying to poison me these days. How bad are things getting? But so there aren't new rules about what it's going to be like if you are going out, and we'd love to hear if you are going to have a drink this weekend. What are you expecting? What do you think it's going to be like? It's going to be a lot of queuing because there's not a lot of space inside. So it will be like going to a nightclub.
That's not nice.
You have to book as well. So actually, just trying to get in the local Wetherspoons, you could queue for hours and then be told your name's not down, you're not coming in. which could be useful. So I want to investigate more what it's going to be like to go to the Wetherspoons, because there was an interview on LBC and they filmed it. So I got the video here of an interview they did for a radio station. The first clip, there are two things to pay attention to. The topic that it goes on to, but also check out the smile on the guy behind the bar. Here we go.
Now I'm with Kieran, the pub manager here at the Lyric, which is of course where Karl Marx used to come in and have a pint of beer after he wrote the Communist Manifesto, but enough of that.
That goes a bit weird. Let's go down there and do an interview about the pub's reopening. Karl Marx used to drink in here. Well, is that your patriotic duty? Got to try and get rid of capitalism and oi oi.
I can see Jeremy Corbyn in the back corner, just sort of slumped over.
That's where they get all their good ideas from. But the interview, thankfully, got back on track. And this happened.
Yeah. And how are things going to change? Because I see this Perspex screen here to protect you and your colleagues from customers.
Protect you and your colleagues from customers, not from coronavirus, from customers. It's a Wetherspoons. Yeah. It's probably valid. You know, I don't know why they didn't have like the full gear that you get in banks. They should basically just have a small slot. It's the only way to keep safe. The interview continued, and we saw
the tables will be safe spaced, 2 meters apart, and you'll have to book in 105-minute segments.
Quite a lot to unpack there, Kieran. The tables will be safe spaced.
Okay.
Which makes it sound like there'll be tables where you can't use hate speech or trans-exclusionary language. So that's, and I think what he means is socially distanced. The tables need to be more than 2 meters apart if the people are going to be 2 meters apart.
Well, it is a Wetherspoons, so there might be some hate speech.
Oh, maybe they should up the safe spacage on that. But then you get to book them for 105 minutes. I can't even work out how long that is, and I'm sober. How on earth? Anyone who's sunk a few pints, I think that's why they've done it, because it's really difficult to work out what that is in hours. But if you've had a few pints down you, they can come up and say, sorry, mate, your time's up. But it's only been I'll go. So it's looking good. Then they also talked about some of the rules that you'll be up against.
It says on the rules for your staff, no shots. Why is that?
We want people to have a good time, and safety is our main aim, and we don't want people having too much of a good time too quickly.
Yeah, we know what you mean, Kieran. You don't have too much of a good time on the shots, which is a shame, because I thought the whole thing was going to be like speed drinking. Because if you only get 105 minutes, however long that is, I tried to plan out the evening. So I was thinking, right, imagine you get in the pub at 8 o'clock. That's when you hit the shots. By 8:15, you start to get too loud. Things get a bit leery. You blend right in a Wetherspoons. By 8:20, start a fight. By 8:22, try and pull the person that you just had a fight with. 8:30, move on to shots again, which means effectively nightclub stage. By 8:45, you need a snog, but you're being socially distant. So snog yourself in a mirror. You are probably going to do that anyway. 9 o'clock, get thrown out. By 10, you stood outside on the pavement dancing around your handbag, even though you've not taken it off yet. By 9:15, you're dealing with being sat on the pavement with one shoe off crying. And then by 9:30, pass out in an Uber, and you've still got however many minutes left to make it 105. Boom!
Wow. You've got it all planned out.
Yeah. I don't know why people don't listen to me.
I think, because I guess to do a pub crawl in this environment, you're going to have to really manage your time effectively. You've got to know when the 105, 110 minutes is up, and then you've got to figure out the distance between the next pub and have that table booked ahead of time. So, but I mean, that's just going to be great, because I remember proper last orders in the UK, because I got here when it was still most pubs closing at 11 o'clock at night, and I remember like, 1:45, right? We've got this round in. And that meant like 2 rounds worth, and you would consume. I was on the Guinness back then, and you would power drink 2 or 3 Guinness, Guinea.
Genai. Yeah, that's the plural.
In about 15 minutes, and there were no night buses back then, so it was, and there was no smartphone. I mean, I remember standing after getting dropped off by the last bus in the wrong place with my A to Z, remember those, looking at it, and looking up at the street. And down at this, those were good times.
It's going to happen again.
So much.
It's going to happen again, yeah. Let us know if you're going to be out there having a boo. Are you actually going to go this weekend?
Well, I mean, it's very tempting because, obviously the pubs are open for the first time in months. It is the 4th of July, which, still being American, I do get that little twinge of, oh, yeah. But I did try and celebrate the 4th of July once. My first 4th of July in the UK 20 years ago, actually this 4th of July, and another American friend of mine, we saw that the local, it was an Irish pub, I can't remember which one it was, O'Neill's, was advertising a 4th of July drink. So, and it was midweek, like a Wednesday. And so we're like, all right, let's meet up. We'll be American. We'll have a 4th of July drink in the UK. And won't that be great? And we got there and we looked around. It's pretty quiet. I mean, it was Wednesday. And we didn't see any decorations up and weren't many people around. And we're like, I thought you guys were doing the 4th of July thing today. And he was like, oh, yeah, we did it yesterday. I mean, the whole point of naming a holiday after a specific day is to do it on that day. And I should have left then, to be honest. Just left the country. I should have just like, this is going to be fun. So yeah, I'm not going out. I'm not. It's not going to be. It's going to be vectors of madness. I mean, once people have that second drink, it's over. I mean,
I'm definitely not going. I'm not that much of a drinker anyway. I actually, as a serious point, I hate this narrative of it's your patriotic duty to have a pint. Don't be offensive. There are people with drink problems. There are people who don't fancy a drink. Rein your neck in. Don't be that. Don't make me feel unpatriotic because I'm not going to be having a drink. On Saturday, I'm driving up north to visit my dad in the care home again. So to be fair, we will, by the time, how do I phrase this nicely? He often acts like he's had a few pints down him, and that'll be so far away from where I live, I'll be desperate for the toilet. So I'll be busting for a piss. He'll be staggering all over the place. It's effectively like we're in a Wetherspoons.
Yeah.
We'll be having a great night of it. The Bishop says he's watching after watching Air Crash Investigation. Wow. Nice. Which one's less depressing, this show or Air Crash Investigation?
This has been a crash a few times, but not yet so far.
Yeah, not yet today. We've got messages coming through already. Let's have a look. 105-minute segments. Yeah, it makes no sense. Ellie says, hi, I'm back. But a bit of a gin and some more Prosecco. Still won't go near pubs this weekend, though. Good point to stay at home and drink. You know that the young folk used to do that preloading. Just do that loading and stay at home.
Young people do that? Never mind. Sorry.
You ever had a crack at it as well? Chris says, will there be orderly social distance queuing outside the nation's kebab shops? Yes. And also, Chris, there will be 2 meters separated between when people are stood there throwing up said kebab. Because actually, I think it has got to be 3 meters because you've got to be very careful of vomit or splatter.
Ooh. That's what the plastic shields are for.
In the Wetherspoons. Nice. Yeah. And Siri from DLive says hi. Hi. Coming at you.
Hi.
Wherever you're watching this, send us a message and don't forget the donate link down the bottom.
Yeah, thank you to Chris. He's put the first drink in there for us. So definitely, if you don't mind, and if you're enjoying what you're doing, and we will have a virtual drink that you purchase for us.
So far away from you for safety reasons.
For safety reasons, yeah. You'll never actually be allowed to drink with us. But speaking of the 4th of July, of course, the real 4th of July, the important 4th of July, is the one happening in the United States. And this one's going to be big, Steve.
Is it?
It's going to be Stig. It's going to be big. This is going to be a massive 4th of July because Donald Trump has decided he's got the perfect idea to celebrate the 4th of July in the middle of a pandemic. He's going to do a rally outside Mount Rushmore.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's what you need to do because it's perfect for a number of different reasons. One, Mount Rushmore, 4 presidents on the mountain. 2 of them were slave owners. Nice timing for that, considering what's happening in America. Tick. That makes it Trump special. 6,000 people are going to be there, and they've been told by the local government they don't have to socially distance. Why would they?
Okay.
Pandemic on. Tick again, another Trump special. And finally, he's insisted that there be fireworks, which they have banned from the site because it's in the middle of summer and in the forest. But he's going to allow the fireworks even though it's a fire hazard. Triple tick. It has got all the elements of a Trump rally. But Trump has seen that there has been a rise in infections in the U.S. He has realized that it's not going very well for him in the polls. So he has decided to relent a little bit on the issue of wearing masks, right? Because he's been against masks for the most part. He's made fun of Joe Biden wearing masks, and he started to bend a little bit. He's gotten a little bit more flexible with the masks, which we can see here.
I'm all for masks. I think masks are good. I would wear, if I were in a group of people and I was close.
You would wear one?
Oh, I have. I mean, people have seen me wearing one. If I'm in a group of people where we're not, 10 feet away, but usually I'm not in that position, and everyone's tested. I mean, I'd have no problem. Actually, I had a mask on. I sort of liked the way I looked. Okay, I thought it was okay. It was a dark black mask, and I thought it looked okay. It looked like the Lone Ranger.
Yep. So a couple things from that clip. Firstly, Donald Trump says that people around him get tested. If I met Donald Trump, I'd want to have a test afterwards as well. I heard about what he did with Stormy Daniels, and he wasn't protected then. And he's only just started wearing the mask, so it's not very safe. And secondly, this Lone Ranger thing, the idea of Trump being the guy to save the day, he's very much a machismo kind of guy. And the Trump campaign has latched onto that Lone Ranger idea, and they've turned it into an advert, which we can see.
The fiery tweet, the speed of light, a cloud of scandal, and a hearty fake news. The Lone Ranger. He's like your very own Russian president. He'll grab you by the...
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
They rolled that out pretty quickly, didn't they?
He could work for him, I'm sure.
Now, a couple things about that before I do the last comment on this section. A, that took me an hour. And B, my wife said, "All right, what are you doing up there, sweetheart?" I'm doing what's going to make us rich and famous, sweetheart. And I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel and the comics, our YouTube channel. And if you look close enough, the pew is timed with the bullet that is fired by the Lone Ranger.
And that took you an hour, did it?
Took an hour. Took an hour. Continue altogether. But actually,
I can't judge. I was going to say before you move on, I can't judge because later on in the show you'll see what I spent 2 hours doing today in my kitchen. Not worth it.
I mean, I believe there was a talking bat in Tuesday's show, Steve. Is that correct?
Yeah, good point. Well made.
Yeah. So, I mean, Trump has clarified, though, when he said Lone Ranger, what he actually meant was loans, as in loans that you borrow, because, of course, of all the loans that he has borrowed from Putin. But
nice.
That's my pun. I did a pun.
You did a pun.
I had to kind of explain it, but it was still a pun.
Nothing wrong with a pun. Good puns. I did a pun earlier on with a little radio sketch thing that I do about Grant Shapps has said that he is going to try and actually crack down on people who go on public transport not wearing the face mask.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, I can't understand why people wouldn't do that. It's such a small action. And it could save the lives of others. If I had the kind of attitude where I didn't care about people like that, I wouldn't show my face in public. It's a bit of a long form pun, just because it's a well known phrase. But yeah, we all do these. Yeah. Nothing wrong with them.
That's why you should buy us a drink.
Yeah. Mark says vomit shields, risk of splashback. Oh, good point. So in the Weatherspoons, they've got the perspex thing. It can't be to catch the vom because anyone stood behind them in the queue. Although people don't queue, they use the app. But there is still a chance of vom splashback.
In a curvature, the splash skirt. It's got to have that curve or a funnel sort of thing.
Yeah, like a parabolic thing. Yep, fair enough.
Nice.
And against my more conservative nature, says Ellie, I just bought both of you a drink. Comics aren't essential, but well, thank you very much. Links down the bottom if you want to get involved. If you're watching it on YouTube, let's have a look. Some measures there. Heather says book for a pub for Tuesday. Max 4 people per table. Limited toilet use. One at a time. What's wrong with that? That's.
So wait, I think he's saying avoid the crush.
Yeah, disposable menus will destroy the evidence. Heather, thank you for your message. Loving it. And Stephen says, have all the giant comedians been cleared for pub gardens? Because of the statue version, the cardboard cutout version of me that was meant to be in pub gardens. Do you know what? Are we allowed to do gigs in pub gardens?
No, because you can't have events of more than 30 people, although...
We never do. It's fine.
I realized just as I was saying that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of all of the thousands of people who watch this online, none of them ever came along to our show in South Bank, the weekly topical thing, or our monthly comedy special in Camden. But, yeah. We're used to small crowds. Right, thank you for your messages. Keep them coming. Links down the bottom if you'd like to do like Ellie does and throw a drink in our direction. I've got some bad news for you before we move too much further. There's another symptom for coronavirus. So just to recap, public service broadcasting at its best. They said originally if you have a fever or a persistent new cough, that was difficult to understand how it can be both new and persistent. Like you cough once, I don't know when it's going to stop. But we found our way around that. If you had that, self-isolate. Then they said if you lose your sense of taste and smell. And that one bothered me because I was jealous of anyone who doesn't have a sense of smell. My sense of smell is too good. I know we talk about this privately a lot. It is painfully good, my sense of smell. If someone in the room has bad breath, I can tell. I can tell if people are ill. I once spotted a mate's gas leak that was so small it never would have caused a problem from one of the small hobs that he had. And actually, recently, my sense of smell's changed. We've not even talked about this in our personal life. I can now smell water like it's really strong. So I can tell if a sink has just had water poured down the hole. And it hits me like it's way too strong. I can't sit in coffee shops near where the condiments are because the smell of the cinnamon is just overpowering. So I like the idea of losing my sense of smell. It's more of a curse than anything else. But it turns out there could be a worse curse.
Yeah.
There's a new symptom of coronavirus. Priapism.
What?
Let's put it this way. It's having an erection that don't go away. Man suffers 4-hour erection with COVID-19 coronavirus infection. That headline reminds me of the Morecambe and Wise joke where they say, do you suffer with impure thoughts? And Eric Morecambe goes, no, I enjoy them. The 4 hours that this guy got the old stonk on.
Wow.
I mean, imagine that. He must have known that it was going to be coronavirus because he'd probably lose his sense of smell and then get a massive erection, which, to be honest, makes you better at sex. The fact that you could get near anyone with bad breath and have a great old time. All of those attractive people who have bad breath would be yours for the picking.
And there are people who lean in and talk as well. They get right in there. Hey, what you doing? After a few pints. Oh, God.
I can't stand them at all. But imagine if you can get rid of the sense of smell and you have the permanent boner. It is true that priapism as a phrase, or being priapic, is an adjective that means both having an erection that won't go away and being constantly obsessed with sex. And it's tricky that the definition of the word, it's got two definitions, because one of them just describes teenagers. And I suppose if you had a constant erection, it would make you... Sex would be on your mind, put it that way.
Yeah.
It changes your mood somewhat, doesn't it, having that? It's like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when the vampires have the bigger foreheads. It changes their mood somewhat. In fact, maybe that's what the metaphor was. Joss Whedon, we never knew.
Wow.
So in case you're worried that you might end up having some of this priapism, I'm joined on the line now by a doctor who can explain more to us. Hello.
Hello, Steve.
Thank you very much for being with us. So how can one tell if one has priapism?
Well, if you can't tell, you might have different problems. You should be able to tell if your erection is lasting for an unreasonably long time.
Okay, so anything more than like 5 minutes.
Call me after the show for a consultation, Steve. But in general, someone would know if they have priapism.
Okay, and if someone knows that they have priapism, what would one do about one having priapism?
Present at A&E.
What, walk in with it on a big cushion? You meant to walk in and go, ta-da! You're going to get arrested doing that in 2020, mate. You're going to get struck off.
Sorry, present is a medical term. Go to A&E, as the lack of blood flow could cause a problem.
Okay, and just because we're all trying to be on the safe side these days, should one self-isolate if one has an erection?
Yes, not because of coronavirus, just in general. You'll scare people in Tesco, Steve. You've been told about this before.
That is why you should never have your own GP on as a guest. Thank you very much. We've learnt something there. Is that a bad symptom? Are you worried about getting priapism?
No, I'm looking forward to it now.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to the pub after all.
Well, Mark says, no sense of smell and a 4-hour erection. That's Weatherspoon sorted.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely a 2-in-1 special.
Mark says, never mind the headline. What about the bit below? Avocado eater. Let's go back to the headline and see what that was about. He just describes himself. My favourite thing about this is because the man's in France. The picture is the Eiffel Tower, and you think that was a good choice of picture for a man with a 4-hour erection.
Yep. Somebody at Forbes has a sense of humor. So, I mean, there you go. Who knew? Who knew? Yeah, anyone else there? We're good. Yeah, well, thank you very much. Bishop has sent us a little drinky poo, so thank you very much for that. We appreciate your contribution there. And yeah, I think anything else on that side, Steve?
Colin says, can you not smell that that pour of an excuse of a tash? What are we having a go at this? What?
That's a beard. I don't know.
Oh no, it was the guy. It was the guy in the pub. Kieran.
See how quickly we take these things personally?
Yeah.
Are you talking about me?
Kieran's my favourite character of the show so far, but he looks at the camera.
It's happening. Right. Well, I mean, obviously, something that actually will hit home for some of you, because some of you are watching us on Facebook. We know that. And, of course, Facebook has been in a little bit of negative attention lately. I mean, Facebook is, I think, is one of those things that all of us, we love to hate it. It's helpful. It's handy. We like live streaming on it. It's fantastic to reach an audience that might not have been there before, especially at South Bank on a Tuesday a few years ago. And but there's been controversies, of course, that some of the posts on there of hate speech, or some of the advertisement done, especially by the Trump campaign, is essentially propaganda. You've got voter suppression things going on. You've got the anti-vaxxers happening. So basically, what's happened is advertisers have started to boycott Facebook, which you can see here, and it looks like it's going to be serious. 400 advertisers, big names like Coca-Cola and so on, have hit a pause on Facebook, threatening $70 billion in revenue. And I can say we're not running any ads on Facebook either. Just to make sure he feels that pain.
So
but Zuckerberg, he's the 6th largest person in the world. I mean, I don't know why I say person. All the rich people are men. But 6th largest person in the world. And basically, he looked at that, saw this hit of a few $1 billion, and he responded with this headline. Zuckerberg said to Facebook ad boycott, all these advertisers will be back soon enough. He's like, you know what? Baby, you want it. You're going to be back to this. You're going to miss me. You're going to want to be looking back at my swimsuit pictures from 2006. Can't leave it.
Was Mark Zuckerberg in a swimsuit back in 2006?
That's where I spend my time. I got told off for it once. But you know what? If your mate tells you he's got an attractive girlfriend and she happens to have pictures on there, you're not allowed to comment on the fact that she used to be a lingerie model just because that was 10 years before they met. You're not allowed to look at those photos. It was on her public profile. Anyway.
Yeah, get back on track before you get cancelled.
Zuckerberg, it hasn't been. I mean, he's lost $70 billion in revenue. He's getting a lot of bad publicity, and not only that, he's getting sued by the people he lives around in Hawaii with this. Look, they're doing a petition that they want to sue him, Mark Zuckerberg, from colonizing. I don't even know how to say the name of the island in Hawaii, where he has a house. He wants to take more of the land around the house that he has on this island. So the locals have started this petition to stop this action, right? He is basically a billionaire who wants to build on a tropical island and push out the locals. Yeah. He's building a lair.
Yeah, he's going to stroking a cat, that guy.
Dangerous. Anyway, the people who are doing this, they've started the petition on change.org if you want to sign it as well. I mean, I found out about it because I was on their Facebook group page, and they've been running ads promoting their initiative.
Nice. Serves them right.
Serves them right.
Lovely. So Stephen said, hang on, he was just finishing his chores. Hopefully he's with us now. He is with us now because he's dropped some of the messages. Let's have a look. Those screens won't last the night, the Weatherspoon screens, yeah, because they'll get burnt through, just like the alien's blood in the film Alien, whatever kind of vom comes out of the patrons. Mark Randall has sent my view of you from the West Midlands, and yes, that's a bagpuss. And let's see if we can just zoom in a little to see if you are, however you're watching us.
Nice.
If you'd like to send us a picture of what we look like on your screens, you can tweet it to us or send it in whichever comment section you got going on. The Bishop says splashback. Wasn't that a big hit from Imagination? 80s music pun, loving it. And on the topic of priapism being a symptom of coronavirus, the Bishop says, I think I've got coronavirus right now. Well, he's going to be busy for a while. Lovely.
Nice.
Yeah, wherever you're watching this, you can keep the messages coming through. Let's have a look. We've got some on Facebook to try and get through. Colin says, where's Zuck's space program? It depends, because he might not be one of those spacefaring villains. He might be the underwater type.
Oh, yes. Yes, that could be it. Because, yeah, Musk and what's his name? Virgin dude, Richard Branson, they've got the space all sorted out. So definitely Zuckerberg is somebody who, I mean, he looks like he spends a lot of time underground.
Yeah. Because, you know, some of the bad guys, Moonraker, other bad guys, The Spy Who Loved Me. So you never know which way they're going to go. Hasn't Richard Branson taken over an island? Yeah, they're all doing it these days.
Yes.
Ellie says, honestly, I give up on Facebook hate. Normal people can ignore it. And I just simply cannot be, and there's some swear words coming through, but she starred herself out, I think, to learn a different platform. Zuckerberg can say whatever he wants. He knows that. We all know that. Oh, that's true, isn't it? Mark says, Octozucky. Brilliant. Keep the comments coming through, and you can comment wherever, and if you'd like to buy us a drink, the link's down the bottom. Right, bad news, I'm afraid. Previously on other shows, and you can watch them all because they're all still online, we talked about the lady on TikTok who made a cup of tea the wrong way.
Well,
so she microwaved it and made it by putting tang and salt and sugar in a vat. But then she made it the British way, making British tea, where she microwaved it and just got it all wrong. Then I made my response video where I made a cup of tea from the toilet, and don't know if any Americans have followed suit yet.
Probably. Yeah.
She
Some
then did
drank bleach after the president told them to, so I'm sure they made your cup of tea.
Yeah, put some bleach in the toilet first. It's a twofer.
There you go.
Then she made English eggs. It's not even a phrase where she just ruined some eggs. She's only flipping done it again. So if you are of... Now, I know we've done some swear words and mature content, but this could offend. So if you're easily upset, get ready. This is her latest TikTok.
Hey guys! So I got a lot of questions after my last few videos, and everyone has requested that I make a traditional British breakfast.
Did they really request that? It's like a hate crime to the Brits.
I love it. Yeah. Hey guys.
Hey guys. But you think, okay, well, we're known for our breakfast. You full English, full Scottish, full Irish, the three that I've had. I don't know if there's a full Welsh. I hope there is. We are a proud nation that's pretty good. It's a hearty breakfast. So, lady from TikTok, what you making?
So today we're going to make beans on toast.
It's not a breakfast. It's a lunch. Students eat it. Okay, they get up at midday, so everything's breakfast to them. Yeah. But you know what? At least it's kind of a British thing. All right, let's see how she cooks it.
So the first step is you want to get your piece of bread. Then you want to add the beans. I'm just going to pour mine on there, juice and all.
It looks like a massacre.
Next, you're going to get your cheese.
Oh, dear.
Put it on top of the beans.
Not even real cheese.
Then you want to put it in the microwave.
Of course you do, microwave.
And that's how you make beans on toast.
That's how you make beans on bread. That's what you've made there. Beans on toast. It's got two ingredients, and one of them is flipping toast. Answer yourself as an American. Now, why? Why are we being picked on like that? Why is she taking our cuisine and doing a dump on it with cheese?
I'd love a slice of cheese from the plastic wrapper like that. That's so good. It's just because it's got that nice. It's folded over, and you peel it back, and you can peel it. Oh, it's just. I mean, it's nasty cheese. It is dirty.
Do you not
cheese.
Do you not have toasters in America? Is it just microwaves?
Just microwaves. Yeah, it's part of the nuclear family. It's a requirement that everyone just has a microwave. But I mean, toast is a state of mind. I mean, if the bread is old enough, it's getting kind of toasty. It's getting a bit hard. It's getting a bit crusty. So.
Yeah, but you soften it up by microwaving it. You're making actual bread less toasty by microwaving it. Oh, she makes me so angry. So, last time she did one, I made my version of making a cup of tea, and I thought, okay, I'll do it again. So, if you've got any Americans in your life, play them this. Hey guys, welcome back to Steve's Kitchen. Now, after my last video where I showed Americans how to really ruin a cup of British tea, many people got in touch and said, Steve, why don't you have a go at cooking some American food? Okay, in general, if you want to make food more American, simply make the portion size too big. But today, I'm having a crack at the most American meal of all, apple pie. Here's how you do it. Take one apple. Do make sure you leave the label on, keeps it fresher. Simply pop it in a cappuccino cup, and it goes in the microwave. 10 minutes should do it. Holy crap. Take it out of the microwave. Ew. and mash with a fork. Next, we add salt, pepper, oregano, as if that's a fucking word. And there we have it, apple pie. If you do serve this to your American friends, make sure you remind them of that lady on TikTok and then say, here, how'd you like them apples?
Oh, you're making me homesick, Steve. That is just like my mother used to make it. That is so... Because when you pop it in the microwave like that, delicious.
Just the way Mama used to make.
She used to make it. Did
Chris,
you actually cook the apple for 10 minutes?
No, because it took 2 hours of editing to piece that together. As you know full well, I wasted my time doing that. I microwaved it for probably less than a minute, and the actual hissing sound that you can hear in that was really... It sounded terrifying.
It was angry. Yeah. It was angry.
Don't blame it. Right, so Chris says she's made what looks like it drips off that vomit shield.
Yeah, that's true.
Tracy says, brilliant vid, Stephen Allen. Why, thank you, Tracy. Send it to, wherever your Americans are, because they need to know how we think their food is. The Bishop says, when is someone going to take her out? And I don't mean to Weatherspoons. And Mark Randall says, method cooking. Why, thank you.
Nice.
Before we move on to the next one, Stephen says this on YouTube. We're talking about Mark Zuckerberg being the next big villain. He says, Mark Zuckerberg in the future. Ah, Mr. Bond, I've been expecting you. You ticked that you were interested in the forthcoming event, Epic Volcano Finale Battle. Excellent. Ellie says, I was expecting you to come out with an actual apple pie in a cup. That would have been a good idea, but that would have taken actual preparation.
Yeah.
And not just writing a pun about apples.
Did you actually have that apple, or did you have to go buy the apple?
I had to go buy the apples.
Wow.
Yeah.
That takes effort.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at the dedication to this show. That's why we appreciate the drinks, because these apples don't pay for themselves.
No. And I bought two types. I bought pink ladies, and then I got really scared about microwaving a pink lady because I didn't want it to come across as offensive, so I got some gala ones. So actually, I don't know which one I microwaved, but they're all in there. I like to do that. I like to have two types of apples in my apple selection. It just keeps it fresh. You know?
It's important. Yeah. And then, if one had gone wrong, you gotta have a backup.
Yeah.
Gotta have a backup. So
we're giving you the makings of the show during the show, but
as the show happens. Thank you very much. We've had a few more drinks thrown in the bucket, so thank you for that. We're a little over time, so I've got to bring one last story to you, Steve, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, if 2020 already wasn't shit enough. My friend Betsy in America, she's in Massachusetts. She sent me this story, which we have the headline of here: giant jellyfish sightings on the rise at Massachusetts beaches.
Wow.
Just what we need, Steve. I mean, 2020, we've got, Donald Trump might win re-election. We've got, the pandemic. We've got race riots all over the world. We've got, this woman making baked beans and you're making apple pie. Things are getting really bad.
Yeah.
Just what we need is a jellyfish that is actually 100 feet long. And in the article, it's described as being hydrochloroquine. Sorry. Gelatinous chunks. The jellyfish, 100 foot long, described as gelatinous chunks. And we've actually got a picture of it here. Hey, see what I did there? Mr. President.
How long did it take you to do that?
That was about 20 minutes. Now, obviously, it's lazy to make fun of Trump as a jellyfish. It's easy to do, and whatever. But when I read that if you get stung by this particular jellyfish, basically you get, and I quote, a brief electric shock followed by a stinging sensation. I thought nothing reminds me more of Donald Trump than that. So do you have any fears? What could make 2020 worse for you, Steve? We got a jellyfish. And you know what? This basically 2020. It's a fucked bag of salad. That's what it is.
Great. That's not as good a metaphor as Josh Whedon's vampire face being a metaphor for erections, but
I'm just putting it out there. Fuck that bag salad. Just saying.
Okay. But what would be worse because I'm an INTJ as a personality type, I've got a big fear that looms over me. Yes, lockdown was bad, but what I fear even more is the end of lockdown.
I knew you were going to say that.
Don't make me go out there again, man. I don't like it. There's too many people.
I've been saying to Steve, can't we bubble together? I could come over. I could record the show at your house. It's fine. I could be there in just a few minutes. There's no traffic. I'll be there. No. Nope.
Because it's not. I'm hidden away. I'm going to have to spend time, but it's going to be worse because people are going to be making up for the time that you can't, that we've not been together. Oh, at least we get rid of handshakes. But
when you hug again, when we can hug again, Steve, not you and I, but I mean other people, imagine it's going to be that extra squeeze.
I have to wear padding so I don't feel it.
Well, you better hope you don't have one of those COVID symptoms if you have to give a hug.
I'll be self-isolating. Why not? With my download speed these days, you might as well.
Oh dear. Well, we're running out of time. Yeah. We appreciate anyone who's bought us a drink. Thank you very much for that. Also, the show stays on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, please, and share the show with anyone that you think might enjoy it, because the shows do stay up on there. And we forgot to say at the beginning, people should share the Facebook thing.
Oh, yeah, we keep meaning that. Yeah, share the show. Yeah, keep watching it, and every time share the show. Some last messages coming through. Let's have a look. Sal says, I'm guessing that the American foodie will be the first lady president of the USA. The way things are going, why not?
She couldn't be worse than Trump. Would she be worse than Trump, do you think? Based on what she does to British food?
Well, as long as we don't have to eat the food, it'll be all right. Colin says, is the dimple in your chin in relation to your tie? The weird thing is, I don't have a dimple chin. I've just got the grey on the side, and then this bit down here is just the darkest bit of skin on the.
But it's nice because it gives you a shadow and lifts up any other chins you might have down there.
Oh, this is what I've discovered. Now I know why people have beards.
Yeah.
So in the up to episode 21, it was getting wider and wider, and now I just trim the sides, leave it down there, and it's given my head shape that I don't have. It makes it look like I don't have a big round fat face. But if you watch previous episodes, you can see the big round fat face.
Yeah.
Chris says, easy to do but worth it. I'm not sure what that was in relation to, but we'll take a slice of that. And Ellie says, gelatino hydrochloroquinous.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm even impressed I managed to read that out. That looks like you've just sat on your phone.
Nice.
Yeah. I think we're up to date with the messages. Keep sharing whatever you got going on. And then, I tell you what, Mark comes in with the full Welsh breakfast. The bacon is not just any bacon, but organic Welsh dry cured bacon. Eggs, organic. I feel like I should be doing this in a Marks and Spencer's voiceover. Free-range eggs, which, of course, have been locally sourced and served gently fried with sunny side up. And then there's some Welsh words in there that I don't want to get wrong.
And put in the microwave.
Oh, man. You're ruining our food.
Quickly, before we go, someone did make a donation midweek and asked if we could give advice. It was a Dr. T who wanted to know if we could give him advice of what to buy his missus for her birthday. She's in her 30s. He was nice enough not to give her age. So what would you give a nice young woman in her 30s, Steve?
I mean, this is the 1 year when you can get away with giving the gift of a face mask and it really not going wrong. So you might as well just lean into it.
Have you found that out the wrong way?
Like 4 years ago. Do you want one of these? What? Yeah.
Just planning ahead. I would say the one thing you wouldn't want to give her is maybe the gift of time, because time together, as I would imagine, is probably what you've had too much of. So give her some space.
Just leave the house for a while.
I'm sure your companionship is fantastic. Maybe cuddle up in front of the TV and watch Comics in Quarantine Solving Problems.
Keith says hi from Wales. Oh, we could have actually found out more about what a full Welsh is like. We could probably talk about that next time. So thank you for all the messages. It's been a fun one today. Spread it. That seems wrong, but you know what I mean.
Share the YouTube channel, share the Facebook page whilst we're still on there, and throw us a drink every now and then, and stay safe out there, people. Be careful what you're drinking. You're gonna go crazy, you guys. I know what you're like when you get in the pub. It's gonna be messy.
Yeah, and we'll probably deal with the aftermath on Tuesday show 9 o'clock, right?
We will.
Till then, bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.